Good evening. Welcome to the second meeting of the month of the Norwich City Council. Could you all please stand for prayer? We'll be led by Alderwoman Stacey Gould.
Almighty God, we ask for your blessing upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that all our decisions are for the common good, and your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all our deliberations. Give us the strength and wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings and keep us faithful to the trust placed in us by the citizens of your community. Amen.
Alderwoman Filbert, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll begin this evening with citizen comment. Please remember to speak clearly into the microphone, your name and address and so forth, and there is a sign-up sheet. The first person listed here is Mr. Joseph DeLong.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished aldermen. My name is Joe DeLong. I'm the Executive Director of the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, an organization that I'm proud to say, as I stand here today, now represents 165 of Connecticut's 169 cities and towns. And before I go any further, what I really want to start off to say, I prepared for this evening, is to say thank you, because as I was looking at Norwich's participation in CCM, I realized that you have actually been a member without breaking your membership since 1971. So over 45 years, CCM has had the pleasure of serving the town of Norwich and having you as one of our members, and we greatly appreciate that. Also, I wanted to share with you, since my tenure here, I didn't know when there was a time that Norwich was not represented on our 23-member board of directors. So I looked back, and it's actually been 9 years of consecutive service that Norwich has been on our board of directors. So I thank you for that as well. I think that that's very important. I wanted to just go over real quickly. I know that many people recognize the work that CCM does in terms of legislative advocacy, but perhaps we're not as well known for some of the other services that we provide to the communities. So I wanted to give you just a quick rundown of some of the things that we've done for the city of Norwich or in partnership with you in the last year. Within the last year, CCM has answered and completed 11 research requests for various departments in the city of Norwich. You have sent 23 participants since November of last year to 10 municipal trainings, plus the CCM annual convention this past November, which had over 20 workshops and trainings in it as well. And one of the things that I think that we're really proud of is a program that many of you may be aware of, but I wanted to kind of share with you some of the numbers. And that's CCM's, the program that's eligible only to CCM members of our discounted prescription drug program. In the last year, 143 residents or 143 households in Norwich have used CCM's prescription drug program to a total savings of those households and prescription drug cost of almost $9,000. Since the program was put into place in 2013, the city of Norwich, residents of the city of Norwich have enjoyed over $80,000 worth of savings as being in prescription drug cost as being a part of that program. So I know my time is very limited. I'm going to wrap it up with that. I realize it's public comment, but I wanted to leave a couple seconds in case anybody had any questions. But I also wanted to say, regardless of the difficult decisions that you have lying before you, I wanted to again reiterate how grateful CCM is to have you as a member for so many years and to be able to work as partners in governing with the city. So, Mr. President, pretty good timing. Thank you very much. I think I've done this before.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Marvin Cerruto.
Marvin Cerruto, 100 Star Street, Norwich, Connecticut, United States of America. I would just like to encourage the City Council to stay with the 5% budget reduction, stay with the program. I'm one vote, I'm one resident, I'm in favor of staying with that 5% reduction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Rodney Bowie, please.
Good evening, Rodney Boyd, 62 Roosevelt Avenue. First of all, I want to thank you folks for doing the budget this year. I can only imagine the stuff you've gone through. I would like to commend you for 5%. It's got to happen. We can't keep on going in the direction they have been going for years and years and years. And I don't want to see any $800,000 expenditures put out this year. One of our past treasurers said, I asked him, how come you do it? He says, it works. But that's kicking a can down the road for our kids, our grandkids. And having been a lender of money before, let's say a loan shark, slush fund on whatever, I know something about interest rates, and I've watched this happen year after year. I think we're up around $45 million now in our little slush fund. It can't happen. 2%, even at 2%, that's a lot of bucks. And we keep adding to it, not taking away from it. So please, don't hold your guns. Hold your guns, please. The city needs it. I spoke to one of my constituents up on the hill. He owns a house with 50-foot frontage, and his house takes up most of it. I asked him what he paid for taxes. He said $5,000. Quite frankly, that's about 6 times too much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Bill Champagne.
Good evening. I'm Bill Champagne. I'm the president of the Norwich Historical Society. My address is 7 Northwest Corner Road, Preston. And I'm here to ask the council to consider funding the Sachem Fund again, not from this year's budget, obviously. I attended a Sachem Fund meeting today. The Norwich Historical Society is seeking funding from the Sachem Fund to match a state grant, which we received for the final 2 walks in the Walk Norwich Trail system. At that meeting, there was a suggestion that the city and the Mohegan Tribe begin funding the Sachem Fund again. They haven't for a couple of years. I mentioned that it has been my honor to co-lead an Uncas Leap Walk every year with Stephanie Fielding from the Mohegan Tribe. It's an educational and emotional walk in which we talk about the strong relationship between the city and the tribe over the past 450 years. I always talk about the close relationship between the city and the tribe and how the Sachem Fund is, I think it's unique example of that relationship. The Sachem Fund has enabled the Historical Society to create a professional exhibit, Discover Norwich, and has enabled us to transform the 1783 Lathrop Schoolhouse into the Norwich Heritage and Regional Visitor Center. The center is opening next Wednesday for the season, and I urge those of you who have not visited the center to do so, and at the same time enjoy the Discover Norwich exhibit, which is housed there. The Historical Society and the city have benefited greatly from the Sachem Fund in a number of ways. Also, Stephanie and I will be leading an Uncas Leap Walk on June 10th at 10:30. Join us if you can. As I said, it is educational and emotional. So as I said, we are not asking the city to resume funding the Sachem Fund from this year's budget, but perhaps some money can be allocated in future years. Also, perhaps the funds currently residing in the 350th anniversary account could be transferred to the Sachem Fund. The mission of both entities is to promote the history and culture of Norwich. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Sheila Hayes.
Good evening, Sheila Hayes, 288 Central Avenue. I'm going to follow up where the previous speaker just spoke, because I too attended and I normally attend the Sachem Fund committee meetings. So I'm going to directly reach out to you, President Pro Tem Nystrom, to request that the $350th be this year deposited into the Sachem Fund. 7 years, as it was reported, as I've commented, 7 years is long enough. That money, as was stated to the advisory committee, was to be used for historical and educational aspects for the city. That money was raised. We had a great 5 weeks of activities around the history and the culture and the education of the city, and the Sachem Fund is a perfect perfect fund for that money to be deposited in. So I will ask you, as well as any other council person, that please reach out to Mr. Les King and ask him to please deposit the money and not let it sit for another year or whatever, just sitting there not being available to do anything to help move the city forward. Lastly, in closing, I did not speak during the public budget hearings because I honestly wanted to hear what other members of the community had to say. It is disturbing to me with the proposed 5% layoffs, that 5% reduction, that we would see so many layoffs, but more importantly, the impact that it will have on the children of the school system. If it is true that the state has indicated to the Board of Education to then close schools for 20 days, the impact, the true impact, is going to be on the children. It is not going to be on homeowners as far as tax rates. What are you going to do 20 days of children being not in school? What's the impact to the families that have to pay for childcare? What's the impact on the police department? Children not having a place to go. Who's going to monitor? Who's going to make sure that our children are safe, in a safe environment? Not just hanging out because parents can't afford to pay for them to be someplace, and we as a city don't have something in place like a YMCA or a Boys and Girls Club to put those children in a safe environment. Thank you.
Thank you. That completes the list of people who signed up ahead of time. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council? Yes, sir.
John Levanti, 85 Lawler Lane. A couple of things I'd like to mention with respect to the budget and what's going to happen in the next few weeks. One thing I know for sure, because I was on the school board for 20 years, as many of you know, including the last 10 as vice chair. I just got off in December 15. Once a program is gone, for any reason, it's very unlikely, if ever, that it comes back. If it comes back, it only comes back after a period of years. Give you a couple of examples off the school board. We had all-day kindergarten. We had to do a lot of pulling and tugging to get it back, but it took many years to do that. We lost world language, including Spanish and French in the middle schools. That took several years to come back, and we've only got Spanish. Ideally, it should be in the elementary schools. We were in CABE when I first joined the board. We got off of CABE. We got back into CABE. Now the board is out of CABE again. It's going on to the city side. If you don't have swimming in Mohegan Park this year, don't expect to have it next year, because like I say, you won't put it back. Same thing with these rides that comes from the senior center. Don't expect to get that back next year. And there's a lot of seriously ill people that depend on the rides. CCM, like the gentleman mentioned, that's a good organization. If you get out this year, you won't be back next year. And I know the mindset in this community. What can we get rid of this year? I've seen it over and over in this city, and that's why the city is circling the drain. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Please.
Good evening. Beryl Fishbone, 19 Bliss Place. Doing budgets is never easy. Never. Not even when there's lots of money and you can throw it around however you want it, because everybody always wants more. So one of the things that I'm going to encourage you to look at is when you're examining the individual budgets, looking not just at their line items, not just looking at the people looking at you with those big eyes and that pleading and their hands folded, but I want you to look at how well they're using their money, how well they're using their budget, when they're doing their ordering, if they work with other places, other departments, other systems, if they're using as much as they can of their regionalism. Those are things that are really important. Getting the most bang for your buck. Of the 3 budgets that I looked at, just as a citizen, you know, I went and I picked up the city budget, I picked up the school budget, and I picked up the NPU budget. The biggest bang for the buck was the education budget. Surprised me. I didn't expect it. But when I really looked at the line items and I called them and I met with them, I found out how they did their ordering, how they used their grants, how they used their money. It's pretty impressive. The city does a phenomenal job. Really. You got to start looking at, you know, how these different departments are saving their paper, saving their money, saving their pennies. NPU budget, not so much, guys. That was kind of a free-for-all. Even after I put some of them, well, I called them on the phone and I went down and I kind of asked a few questions that made them uncomfortable. But I'd also like to ask one other thing while you're looking at the budgets. Look at how it's going to affect the people of the city. And the only thing that I'm going to ask is that we really do need to have the swimming at Mohegan Park, because when it's 90s and degree weather, people have to have a place that can be safe for them to cool off. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council on citizen comment? Please.
Good evening. My name is Kim Jacobs, and I live at 9 Scotland Road in Norwich. I'm here to urge you to vote against bringing the recommendation of the School Facilities Committee to renovate 4 of the city's schools to referendum in November. It is unfortunate that the work of the School Facilities Committee fell short of producing a solid plan, a plan backed with data, research, and projected operations cost savings that outlines how it would benefit both the taxpayers and the students of Norwich. It is also unfortunate that the mayor revived this plan after the Board of Education voted it down. The second time the Board of Education voted on the school facilities recommendation, they caved into the pressure to bring the plan to the voters to let them decide. Now, I may be wrong, but when I stand in that voting booth and vote on any referendum, I assume it has something backed by a solid plan that will benefit our city. I assume that something has made it to referendum that all of the parties that have voted to bring it there believe that that is what is best for the city. Or if not what's best for the city, at least not potentially harmful to the city. When I stand there in the voting booth, I assume I am merely deciding whether or not I want to pay for it, not whether it is a solid plan. We trust all of you to decide whether it is a plan that you believe can make the city better. Before you do the same unfortunate thing that the School Facilities Committee and Board of Education did by voting this to go forward, I hope you are able to explain in detail what this plan will achieve and how. I also hope that you will be able to look us all in the eye and say for sure that you believe that this plan for the future of our city is the best we can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the council, please, under citizen comment? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Greg Rippo, 209 Boswell Avenue. I just spent a couple of hours compiling information related to a subject dear to my heart, and especially in my neighborhood, 209 Boswell Avenue. I compiled 5 pages in front of you, and I grant you it's very boring, but it gives you an idea of what I think of as something's wrong with our Dangerous Buildings Committee / Blight Department. I don't have any complaints with Dan Coley, and I know we have a new officer, and they're doing a very good job. But in looking at this information, and then these 3 specific properties, which are all close, which I all pass by practically every day or every other day, and then I went back to actually up to 8 years. 62 North Main Street, everybody knows it as the Love Sanctuary. You just have to ask yourself why a piece of property, which is in the condition it's in, and you can see it, has been on the Blight Department radar for 8 years, and it's still in the condition it's in. So I'm kind of wondering what's wrong with this picture. There's other properties here, and I just question it. And when you go to a meeting, you're not greeted very amicably. It's almost as though they look at you as an antagonist. And to be honest with you, after a 43% drop in my property value, well, I have something to be antagonistic about. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to address the council in the citizen comment? Please.
Swaranjit Singh Khalsa from 14 Debbie Court, Norwich. I am glad to be here, and I feel really honored, and that's why I didn't prepare any speech, but I wanted to just say thank you to everyone for recognizing me, because no matter I got recognized at federal level, but unless you get recognized in your own home, you don't feel that proud. And the request was made by one of the citizens of Norwich, and he'll be here as well. This gives an entirely different feeling when people who you are working for, they embrace your work. So this is really a proud feeling, and I just want to share that I came to United States in 2007. A lot of people don't know that. And I came to New Jersey to do my master's degree in computer science. And after doing my degree, I went back home to Punjab, which is the north of India, because I was just here for my education. In the meantime, I got engaged to my wife. Her family is from Maryland. And we went back, we got married in India, but we couldn't adjust with the system of India. And why I'm telling you this, because a lot of time, people who live in America, they forget that we have a lot of freedom here. We have freedom of speech, we have freedom of expression, which sometimes you don't have in the other country, no matter how rich you are. And once you start living here, sometimes we don't really, embrace those things. So this is one point I wanted to make. And I also want to encourage city that Department of Justice has a program called AMS program, in which Department of Justice comes to our police officers. They train our officers about the cultural competency training. So it's a cultural competency training. And so far, we have trained 1,200 police officers in Connecticut. So we should take advantage of that program as well. And I'm glad to be here. I look forward to work with city and citizens of Norwich. And they have given me one responsibility and showed trust in me. So I'm serving in Commission of City Plan. But if they will trust me more, I will be more than happy, whatever responsibility they will grant me. And I just want to close with these words. And the city is doing a great job embracing the diversity. There is no point. There are a lot of programs which are going on or in the queue. So we all should come forward, citizens should come forward and participate. This is one thing I really want to boost up. So thank you very much, and I really help. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else under citizen comment? Anyone else under citizen comment? Yes, sir.
John Blackburn, 15 Alice Street. So it's going to be short, but I was watching the news tonight. The governor did come out with his budget, and unfortunately, it involves less money coming to the towns. So it's going to be even more tighter. So I don't know what you're going to do, but we do need that 5% reduction. It's been needed over the years, and everybody's kicked the can down the aisle, the past councils. So here it sits on your lap, unfortunately, but it needs to be dealt with this year. And as far as the children going to school, like when I went to school, it was required that the children go to school 180 days, no less. So I don't know where these 20 days less is going to come from, but I don't think that can happen. But they have to deal with the situation, whatever money they get, and unfortunately, some people will probably have to get laid off. That's not a good thing. I've been through that. I know what it is, and it's not a very good thing. Now, on a brighter note, Memorial Day is coming. There is a lot of ceremonies going on in Norwich. 3 that I know of. One in Taffel, right next to the KFC in that little park. If it rains, they usually have it inside the KFC. Then the little park up there across the street from St. Patrick's Cathedral, they have a ceremony there. And then there is the Memorial Day Parade and the wreath laying ceremony, which is in the afternoon up there at Chelsea Parade. So I'm asking you, if you can make it, please attend, and the same with the public and any veterans, especially the veterans. Please be there. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Does anyone else like to speak under citizen comment who has not? Anyone else under citizen comment? Anyone else under citizen comment? Seeing no one else, I declare citizen comment closed. And we thank you all for your comments and sharing your thoughts and ideas. Next on our agenda is we have a presentation of a proclamation. For those of you who do not know, this young man has come into our community and embraced our community in many, many positive ways. His efforts have been acknowledged by the Federal Bureau of Investigations at the federal level. There were 56 people across the United States that were so acknowledged, and he is one of them. And we wanted to have a moment to acknowledge him here before the City Council and citizens of the City of Norwich, because he does great work. And he does so on behalf of everyone. Ready? Sure. Okay. Whereas Swaranjit Singh Khalsa grew up in the state of Punjab in South Asia, he completed his master's degree in computer science from the New Jersey Institute of Technology and has lived in Norwich since 2010. And whereas Swaranjit Singh Khalsa owns the Norwich Shell gas station, Norwich Town, gas station. He owns a real estate company, is contributing economically to the city of Norwich. And whereas Swaranjit Singh Khalsa is an ambassador for the Department of Justice in the AMS program, and he provides presentations to first responders about Sikhism and religious tolerance. Whereas Swaranjit Singh Kalasar was among 56 people of the United States who recently received the FBI Director of Community Leadership Award in Washington, D.C. by FBI Director Jim Comey. And whereas Swaranjit Singh Kalasar is currently serving as a member in the Commission of the City Plan of Norwich, he is a member of the Norwich Area Clergy Association and Sikh Siwak Society International USA. Swaranjit has raised issues related to religious tolerance, social justice, and human rights. Now therefore I, Mayor Deborah Hinchey, and Norwich City Council President Pro Tem Peter Albert Nystrom, on behalf of the Norwich City Council and the citizens of the City of Norwich, do hereby recognize and congratulate Swaranjit Singh Kalasar for his outstanding accomplishments and extend to him our deepest appreciation for all his dedicated work and wish him the best in his future endeavors, dated this 15th day of May 2017. And I'd like to add that our mayor is ill this evening, otherwise she would be here for the presentation herself, and I know that she wants to extend to you her sincere appreciation and thanks as well. And now we're going to have the show stolen by... Congratulations to you. Come on. Yeah. Come down. Please. Take a group shot.
Just didn't want to cross this and shake hand of everyone. Thank you.
Don't climb on that rope. Big smile.
Thanks a lot. Always.
Petitions and communications.
Letter of resignation from Brian Eckenrud from the Community Development Advisory Committee.
I have a motion to accept the letter of resignation. Alderman Tucker Braddock, second Alderman Stacy Gould. And we'd like to note and thank Brian Eckenrod for all his service to the city and the Community Development Block Grant. Thank you.
Communication from Jim Heist, Chairman of the...
We didn't vote. Accept. We have to vote to accept.
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Motion carries 6-0.
Number 2, communication from Jim Heist, Chairman of the 59th and 61 School Street Committee.
Motion to bring it before us, please. Alderman Philbrick, second Alderman Tucker Braddock. No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The vote is 6-0. City Manager's report.
This is the City Manager's report for May 15, 2017. The Mayor and I continue our weekly meetings and budget discussions are ongoing per Council's request. I invited all unions to meet to discuss ground rules for negotiation. By the way, this is for pension negotiations. All unions had representation with the exception of UPSU, which represents the 9/11 dispatches and Public Works. The city was represented by Human Resource Director Bridget Marks, Controller Josh Pothier, Norwich Public Schools Business Manager Athena Nagel, and General Manager of Norwich Public Utilities John Bilder, and myself. I attended the Department Head City Coordination meeting at the NPU Training Room on May 4th. I spoke on the upcoming budget on WICH on Friday, May 5th, and answered call-in questions. Chief Scan has informed me that his department has completed defensive driving training for the entire department at no cost through KERMA. The department has received a grant from the Connecticut Fire Academy for hazardous material operations training for the entire department. I would also like to commend his staff for the recent fire and rescue at McKinney Avenue. I attended a meeting of Southeast Council of Governments regarding shared services study on May 9th. SCOG has received a grant from Regional Performance Incentive Program to collect baseline data for its member municipalities. Data collection included how towns provide key services and what worked and what did not work for shared service arrangements and the potential of new ideas for shared services. That completes my report for this evening.
Thank you. Are there questions of the city manager and his report? Seeing none, we'll move on.
New business resolutions. Number 1, relative to proposed recaptured, oops, sorry. Citizen comment on resolutions. Oh, I'm
Thank
getting
you.
ahead of myself a little tonight. Sorry. I apologize.
It's all right. We will have citizen comment on the resolutions on the agenda. Again, if you wish to speak, please identify yourself, give your name and your address, please. Anyone wish to address the council on any of the resolutions on this agenda? Anyone wish to address the council on the issues before us on this agenda? Anyone wish to address the council on the agenda items listed? Seeing no one is interested, then I declare citizen comment on resolutions closed.
New business resolutions. Number 1, relative to proposed recaptured fund allocations by the Community Development Block Grant.
Entertain a motion to bring it before us, please. Alderman Tucker Braddock, second Alderman Martin. Is there discussion? Is there discussion on Resolution 1? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. The vote is 6-0. Resolution 2, please.
Relative to a resolution scheduling a public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant allocation recommendations.
Motion to bring it forward. Alderman Martin, second Alderman Tucker Braddock. Is there discussion? Is there discussion? Seeing none, for the benefit of the public, the scheduled date in this resolution for the public hearing on those items that have been funded by the Community Development Block Grant Committee is scheduled for June 5th, starting at 7:30 p.m. All those in favor? Unanimous. The vote is 6-0. Resolution 3, please.
Relative to dissolving the 59th and 61 School Street Committee.
Motion to bring it forward. Alderman Gould, second. Alderman Martin. Is there discussion on Resolution 3? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. The vote is 6-0. Resolution 4, please.
Relative to changing the date of the first council meeting in July.
Motion to bring it forward. Alderman Tucker Braddock, second. Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Is there discussion? Seeing none. Again, for the benefit of the public, first Monday in the month of July will be July 3rd, which immediately preceding the July 4th Independence Day legal holiday is causing the problem for this conflict. So it will be established that that will be on July 5th, Wednesday, by this resolution. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Vote is 6-0.
No, it wasn't.
I'm sorry?
I voted against it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Please raise your hand a little higher. Vote therefore is 5-1. Resolution 5, please.
Relative to an appointment to the redevelopment agency.
Motion to bring it forward. Alderman Stacy Gould, second by Alderman Tucker Braddock. Is there discussion? Seeing no discussion, the person who is being appointed is James Heist. All those in favor? Motion 6-0, unanimous. Resolution 6.
Relative to an appointment of a regular member to the Ethics Commission.
Motion to bring it forward, please. Alderman Stacy Gould, second Alderwoman Philbrick. Is there discussion? The person who is being promoted from an alternate on the Ethics Commission is Mr. Anthony Black to become a permanent member. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Vote is 6-0.
Excuse me, Mr.
Yes.
I have a question for clarification. At the last meeting, the question or the resolution regarding the school facilities and the referendum was tabled. It's my understanding that since that issue was not brought back this evening, that is now dead in the water.
That's correct.
Okay.
Following adjournment, yes.
So can you just clarify for the people that it's dead in the water?
Well, for this term, I mean, under the recommendations that were made, the council had the right to set it up for referendum. I think the question was designed to see, did the council wish to present it to the voters at the referendum this November? By tabling it and by not acting on it tonight, it appears the council does not want it to be brought on that schedule. The process can be brought forward at a later time, but not to this referendum, not this year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Martin.
So I have a question for corporate counsel. Seeing that I was the one that tabled this the last time, if I want to bring this back tonight, I have the ability to do that, and we can vote it up or down tonight?
You can vote it up or down tonight. If you want to bring it back, you'll need a second to take it off the table.
Okay, well, I make a motion to bring that back on the floor for a vote.
Second.
Well, okay, you're not adjourned the meeting yet, have you?
Nope.
No, we have not. The motion is by Alderman Martin, seconded by Alderwoman Gould, to remove from the table the question that the council did not act on at its last meeting. That concerns the school reorganization project.
Right.
Okay.
So now we'll have discussion.
Is there discussion on the motion to bring it forward? This isn't a final vote. This is just to take it off the table.
I'd like to move it forward so that way there's some closure on this issue once and for all. I don't want them to think that we just hid from this issue, not to vote on it, not to act on it. We held back to gather more information on this subject, and there hasn't been any more information that floated down to me on this issue. So I'm ready to move forward.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Yes, Alderman Philbrick.
I will not be supporting this item. Previous speakers have alluded or come right out and said, there is nowhere near the information available to put a project of this magnitude forward. Ordinarily, I would agree with letting the voters decide. But in this case, I truly do not believe that the information has been provided. Unfortunately, we have spent a considerable amount of money for another study that hypothetically could sit on the shelf with all the other studies that we have paid for that collect dust. But never once in my questions regarding this project was the question answered. Explain to me how this will improve education. I like to make the analogy, some of the happiest families live in houses with old furniture. They drive cars that are 20 years old. They eat hot dogs and beans for dinner, but they're happy families. There are people that live in palatial homes, 3 or 4 cars, have everything that money can buy, but they're not well-adjusted and they're not happy. So the point I'm trying to make is that a bigger, better, more expensive building does not necessarily equate to a better education.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on the motion to take it off the table? Yes, Alderwoman Gould.
I think we have an obligation to move this forward. We've spent a lot of money on this study, a lot of time and effort. A lot of people went into putting this together, and while there is some incomplete information and there are still some questions to be answered, I think throwing the baby out with the bathwater is not the way to go with this. And I think we should give them a little more time to put the information together so that we can vote on this, having all the information in front of us.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, again, the vote now is to remove it from the table to bring it back before us. There will be a follow-up vote if it should pass, the motion removed from the table. All those in favor of taking it off the table? Opposed? Motion carries 4-2. The matter is before us. Is there discussion?
You need a motion second on the, you've taken it off the table, now you need a motion second to act on the motion.
So moved.
Alderman Philbrick, second by Alderman Raddick. Is there discussion? Yes, Alderman Nash.
After thinking about it for a while and thinking about bringing this before the people, I mean, they voted us up here to do things that are smart. And, you know, with the budget going on right now, you know, we're not, you know, you all get the emails I get too, so. But we have to bring things that are thought out and vetted and properly digested by the council to bring it before the people incomplete and say, here, vote on this, or if you like it or don't, yes or no. And it's not complete. We haven't done our due diligence. Not to mention, I personally see a tremendous amount of flaws, and I'm certainly not as intelligent or educated as the individuals who put this all together, but I just don't see adding bus times to students to go to schools is an answer for anything either. I mean, we're putting all the schools on one side of town, pretty much, and busing kids all over the place. And I just, at this point, I can't see sending this to the people saying, here, vote on this when it's not a complete package, so I will not be supporting this.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of putting it before the voters in November? All those opposed? The motion is defeated. The vote is 2-4.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Alderman Gould, second. Alderman Nash. All those in favor? Unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you.